What's up, everyone? Welcome back to The Fighter and the Analyst. I am your host, GK The Fight Analyst, and this here is my man, the Joker himself, Peter Petties. What's up, man? How's it going?
Another day in the life. Life isn't too bad. Just grinding day by day, enjoying the process.
Absolutely, my man. How's everything been going the last week? Anything new on the horizon? How's the fight camps going for your boys over there? How's everything going?
Training's been good. Just it's been nonstop. Fortunately, work has bombarded me a little bit, but nonetheless, Tefon's looking good. I know he flies out, I believe, Monday for next week, which is going to be good. That's a super stacked fight card. As long as COVID doesn't destroy half the fights, or wait, who knows? I think it's like 19 fights or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think they're accounting for some of them dropping off, but no, that fight card looks great. I'm excited to see Tefon make his debut at 185.
That's
He's
insane.
looking good, looking shredded, looking mean and lean, honestly. So, yeah, it's been good. I can't complain.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think a post from Tefon today. I mean, the dude is, like you said, absolutely shredded. Like I said, I have no idea how he's even making 185, but he looks healthy. He looks actually very, very healthy. You're talking about a guy that just weighed in at 230 pounds or 235 pounds just 2 fights ago, and now he's able to make 185. It's crazy. And yeah, it's gonna be great to see him fight. Like you said, it's a stacked fight card coming up next week. 19 fights. I think it's who knows if they might add even some more to it as well. But it's gonna be like a whole fucking day's worth of fighting, so that's gonna be good. But before we get into the breakdown, let's recap how our night went last week. If you guys were following me, I went perfect on the night, which is great considering we lost 3 fights. But yeah, I think we went well. Who the hell was the main card? Jack Hermanson, Marvin Vittori. What was your take on that fight?
Good fight. It was a viewers fight. It was one of those things. If you're MMA, you're into MMA, you saw a lot of techniques, from the jiu-jitsu to the stand-up, and I think it was really well matched. I still think it could have went either way, depending on, I think, if Hermanson took a little less damage. Who knows what the later rounds, if he would have been able to squeeze out a submission, but I think he was just too submission heavy. Like, it was like he was just hunting for that, as opposed to maybe setting up some strikes every now and then, popping down, keeping him guessing a little bit. But, all in all, I thought it was a great fight. You hate to see some of the injuries he sustained, because it's like one of those wars where, he's not going to be back for at minimum 3 to 6 months at this point. But no, it was a great fight. I think it was really well matched. It's one of the reasons I sat personally on my bet on that one, because I was like, after second thought, this can go Vittori too. So, I thought it was a really well matched fight, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that was an incredible fight, incredible showing by Vittori. Even for Jack to go through that war, I think he broke his eye socket, and I don't know if it was his nose or something else. He broke as well. It was just it was an all-out war. But then if you look, I don't know if you saw Vittori's face afterwards. It looked like he got scratched during the entire fight.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Like, I've never seen anybody's face look like it got clawed after a fight. So that was interesting. What was your take on Jamal Hill? He looked extremely fucking impressive against the OSP.
Yeah, no, I think that was probably one of the most impressive fights. I think his stock went up, like skyrocketed. He has a confidence through the roof, and for him to show up the way he did against OSP, you're talking about, I think people are forgetting that he's a former title challenger. I don't even think, did John Jones finish OSP? I don't think he did.
No, the only one to finish OSP was Jimmy Manuwa.
Yeah,
and now Jamal Hill.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where that's a statement victory right there. And I think his stock is rising. I think for a little bit, the last fight, I think people were wondering if he could stop the takedowns. This fight, it's like he has a vet who's been in there with the best, and he stops him. It's like, where do you go from there? Top 15 now. So I thought he looked really good. And I think now, that line's going to start to get a little steeper.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing that's going to suck. Until he starts fighting, the cream of the crop in the top, 6, he's going to be a massive favorite. And we missed the boat. I mean, I took him a little bit, but nothing crazy because I still kind of wanted to see what he was made of, and he really showed his money. Showed us at what he's worth, and man, that dude, sky's the limit for him, and I'm sure he's gonna get in there very, very soon. So I'm excited to see him fight again. But yeah, I think that fight card was actually pretty decent. A lot of finishes. But yeah. But let's get right down to business on this fight card, which we've lost already 2 or 3 fights. I think it was 3 fights. So now we're technically down to the 10 best fights on the card, to be honest with you, because I think this is like every single fight on this fight card is really worth watching. Even the Sam Hughes and Tisha Torres fight, I still think that's going to be a great fight because Sam Hughes brings the fight to whoever she's fighting. And even the fight between Mackenzie Dern and Vanna Jandiroba, I think that's going to be a great fight as well. 2 very high level submission aces going against each other. So it's going to be a good one. So yeah, let's get right down to the breakdown. First up on the early prelims is a fight at 145 pounds between Chase Hooper and Peter Barrett. Right now, Hooper is a minus 280 favorite in the comeback on Barrett, the plus 255 underdog. Who do you got?
This is one of those fights where I'm leaning towards the upset, but it's hard to go against it because I feel like Chase Hooper gets back on track. I don't think Peter Barrett has the skill set to really expose Chase Hooper the way he was exposed against Alex Caceres. I really, like I said, I'm one of the guys. I don't even want to say I'm a hater of Chase Hooper. I just feel like you have to give him special people at where he's at. I mean, he's 21. You got to give him props. I will say his ground game, like once he gets on top of certain people, he's pretty high level. But, fighting Peter Barrett, I just don't think he has the stand up to really expose or the ground game to really expose Chase Hooper. In order to expose him, you have to have someone like Bruce Leroy, who I called was someone who's decent on the ground and decent standing and isn't going to tap or he knows how to get out of certain positions, whether it's mount, whether it's somebody on your back, isn't going to leave his neck out there for him to jump on or get guillotined or not see a guillotine coming. I don't think Peter Barrett's that type of guy. So I'm going with Chase Hooper on this.
Yeah, I completely agree with you here. I feel like this is a get right fight for Chase Hooper. They're giving him somebody that he can win against. And unfortunately, Peter Barrett's on a losing streak. And I think this is the last we might see of Barrett if he doesn't get a win here. And I think that's kind of what the UFC is doing here. They're kind of giving him, this is your last hurrah. If you don't win here, then that might be all is all. Unfortunately. But yeah, I think Chase Hooper wins here. I think he wins probably via submission in round 1, which would give him a plus 175 line to win via submission in round 1. Like I said, I've been saying this time and time again on every single podcast. First fight is always round 1 or decision. The last fight that even went and got finished later than round 1 was Miles Johnson, Kevin Natividad, and that was within 1 to 2 minutes of going to a decision. So, guys, this stays true. I'm telling you, it's either going round 1 or this fight is going to a decision. So, but I'm going to take a round 1 finish for Chase Hooper here. All right, next up in the strawweight division, we have a fight between Tisha Torres and the newly signed Sam Hughes. Right now, Tisha Torres is a massive minus 620 favorite. And to come back on Sam Hughes is a plus 515 underdog. Who do you got?
I'm going all in on Tisha in this one. And main thing is you take anyone who's been in a full camp, they get a short notice opponent. It's hard to go against them, let alone Tisha, who has the speed of, I don't even know, a 15-year-old kid who has, like she's going to throw. And it's going to be like 6-punch combos. And I think her style is just not one of those you want to match up with on short notice. So I'm going with Tisha, probably by decision. I don't think Hughes is going to get finished. I think she's just going to get overwhelmed with the volume that Tisha's going to throw.
I agree. This is arguably the biggest step down competition that Tisha Torres has had in years. You're talking about Tisha Torres has fought the best of the best for years and years and years. She was getting ready for Angela Hill, who's much higher level than Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes taking this fight on just days' notice. She's only 5-1. I know she's a LFA champ over there, but this is just too big of a step up. Too early in her career, but for her, she's got to take the chance. And I give her kudos for even taking this fight on such short notice. And it's a great way for her to get her name out there in the UFC. Sky's the limit for her because she's super tough, and I think it's still a great signing. And I think she could definitely get some wins in the UFC, just not tonight. I think Tiny Tornado goes in there, gets the job done via decision. I think it's -175 by decision as well. So, yeah, I got Tisha Torres all day in this fight. All right, next up, this is one of my favorite fight on the card. I think it's going to be an absolute slobber knocker between Billy Quarantillo and Gavin Tucker at 145 pounds. Right now, Billy Q is a -175 favorite, and the comeback on Gavin Tucker is a +165 underdog. Who do you got?
I was on the edge on this one, but I am leaning towards Billy Q, man. I like Gavin Tucker. I think he's really well put together. I thought he looked decent against Justin Janis. But after watching Justin Janis against Gabriel Benitez, I'm like, all right, Gavin Tucker kind of was in a harder fight. He didn't really get the finish until the third round. And we all know Billy Q is going to push that pace, push his cardio. I don't see him tapping Billy Q or putting him in any position. He'll probably put him in threatening positions, but I don't see Billy Q getting tapped. So if we look at the way that they can each win, I'm going with Billy Q by decision.
Yeah.
Or maybe even him in round 2, possibly round 3 when he gets tired.
I definitely agree with you here. Billy Q has cardio for days. He's got a chin for days. He's got jiu-jitsu skills. He's got wrestling skills. I mean, he's pretty well put together, and he's quite tall for the division, 5'10". He's 4 inches taller with 3-inch reach advantage. He's got the wrestling advantage. We're talking about Tucker that got taken down 3 of 5 times against Rick Glenn. Mind you, before that fight, Rick Glenn went 0 for 22 on takedowns in every single fight before that fight. So that's I listened to that on one of his podcasts. I listen to every week. That's crazy. To get taken down by a guy that's really got next to no takedown abilities is very, very bad, especially against a guy like Billy Q who has that wrestling chops. A guy that spends about 60% of his cage time in control. So I see a lot of wrestling, a lot of against clinch work against the cage. He's very, very active in the clinch. I just think he's going to absolutely outwork Gavin Tucker here, and Gavin Tucker pretty much has to just knock him out to really get the win here. I think he's just going to get overwhelmed for the majority of this entire fight. So I'm taking Billy Q. I think he wins via decision. I think a decision is like a plus. What is decision? I think it's a +150. Let me see. By decision, +165. It's not a bad line, actually. That's pretty decent.
Not at all.
I think Tucker's tough enough to not get finished, but anything could happen. Billy Q could definitely finish him, but I think he's just tough enough to be able to get it to a decision.
Yeah.
All right, next up in another great fight in the lightweight division, we have a fight between Renato Moicano and Rafael Fiziev. Right now, Fiziev is a -125 favorite, and the comeback on Moicano is a +115 underdog. Who do you got?
This one's a little tough. I'm going to lean. I actually don't even know. every switch this one because I was looking at it. And I'm like, Moicano's coming up from 45, but that doesn't necessarily.
Second fight.
Oh, second. Okay, but that doesn't necessarily always mean too bad. If we look at Dan Hooker when he came up from 45 and then went on a tear,
that's very, very true.
So it's one of those things where I want to lean towards Fiziev because I thought he looked really good against DeCasey. But at the same time, also, I feel like the Casey might have had a little bit too much hype surrounding him as
Right.
opposed to being the real deal, you know? So I am going to go out on a limb and go McConnell on this one. I'm going
Uh,
to slightly lean towards it.
I'm definitely with you there as well. I see a lot of people taking Fiziev here. Recency bias. He looked great in his last two fights against Alex White and Mark Diakese. Don't get me wrong, he looks great. His striking is phenomenal. You know, he's a Tiger Muay Thai striking coach, so you know he's got those crazy kicks, that very intense stand up. But he's yet to be tested in the grappling. I know he has 100% takedown defense, but it's against Mark Diakese, Alex White, two guys that aren't really known for their grappling skills. And this is the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt that he's going against his entire 9-fight MMA career. And we talk about Mike Moicano, that was at the cream of the crop at 145 pounds. You know, he's beaten some really good names, Jeremy Stevens, there's a bunch of others. I just can't think of
Calvin
top of my head.
Cater.
Calvin Cater. That's the one I was sticking in my head. I just couldn't get his name out. But yes, Calvin
Mhm.
Cater. I mean, he's beaten some really good guys. Brian Ortega, he was winning for 3 rounds until he got caught with a guillotine. And he literally was Jose Aldo. If he beat Jose Aldo, he probably would have been fighting for the championship. Let's just put it that way. So he was that close. And he came up to 155. I know, and he tapped out Demir Hasevich in 45 seconds. I know that it was impressive, but I know it was against Hasevich, who can't defend a takedown to save his life. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna get knocked out here. And if he does get knocked out, I think Moicano still has good enough striking to be on the outside, use his leg kicks, use his reach, use his length, because he is the bigger, taller fighter. I think he looks healthy at 155. He's bigger. He looks stronger. And then when it gets down to the mat, if it gets down to the mat, man, I think Fiziev is in a world of trouble. But yeah, I'm taking the dog here in Moicano. It was plus 135 not too long ago, so the money's been coming in on Moicano. So yeah, still plus 115. I still think that's a pretty good line. All right, next up in 145 pounds, we have a fight between Cub Swanson and Daniel Pineda. Right now, Pineda is a minus 155 favorite, and the comeback on Cub Swanson's a plus 145 underdog. Who do you got?
This is another one of those tough fights. Pineda, I really don't like that guy, but I did call his upset against Herbert Burns.
That you did.
As well as, you know, he had a good run in the PFL. We were supposed to fight right before we signed to the PFL, but he didn't take it. But the biggest thing, putting personal away and personal bias, I think the hardest part about this matchup is we're getting a Cub coming off of ACL surgery. Yeah. So it's a matter of what Cub is going to show up. You know, how healthy is he going to show up straight off that new ACL? I think one thing that's very underrated in Cubs games is jiu-jitsu. I think a lot of people forget how good. I think Cub might be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And he's fought great jiu-jitsu guys with his win over Kron. He's submitted a few people. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Cub has some good wins. So this is his first fight since coming off that ACL surgery. And when you got the way I break down Pineda is a lot of people underestimate his jiu-jitsu and his ground game, but nobody's been able to test his striking. And you know Cub's going to come and test his striking. Yeah. Ever since, I said this in the PFL, as well as when we were matched up and when he fought Herbert Burns. I think Herbert Burns did not anticipate his jiu-jitsu to be that good, and Herbert Burns isn't necessarily the best striker, you know? So I think the one thing I always say, styles make matchups. Cub is going to test his striking. He's going to move. We have to see how the ACL holds up. And I don't see him taking down Cub and being able to impose his will the way that he did against Herbert Burns. So I'm leaning towards Cub on this one for the upset.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same. I mean, I know, man, it's just, I don't know, but I can't pick Pineda, especially, I just can't do it. I picked against him in his last fight. and he shut me up big time. He looked phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But then again, Herbert Burns was definitely not in shape for that fight whatsoever. I mean, he looked super soft. He came in 4 or 5 pounds overweight, not good. He gassed after one round of just him being on top. He couldn't stop takedowns. So if Cubs, ACL is up to par and it's not, hindering his movement much, I think he should be fine here. I think he should be able to defend the takedowns, and then I think he should absolutely light him up on the feet. You're talking about a guy that only got outstruck by Shane Burgos by 5 strikes in that fight. 5 strikes. And then he absolutely put a beating on Kron Gracie, defended all of his takedown attempts, and beat the dog shit out of him. And then you're looking about, look at the guys that he's lost against. Shane Burgos, Hanato Moricano, Frankie Edgar, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar. All those guys are worlds better than Daniel Pineda. I know this isn't the same Cub Swanson as earlier in his career, but this isn't the best Daniel Pineda either. This is not I'm juiced to the gills Daniel Pineda in the PFL either. So, and then we're getting him a plus 135. I think we're getting a decent price here on Cub. But yeah, I'm rolling with Cub here as well. I think we're pretty much set in stone on all these so far. We're neck and neck, which is a good thing. It's good to be on the same side here. I like it.
That is true.
All right. Next up is the first fight on the main card in the heavyweight division between Junior Dos Santos and Cyril Gane. Right now, Gane is, I believe, at minus 395 favorite in the comeback on Junior Dos Santos, a plus 350 underdog. Who do you got?
As we talked before going live, I'm still not sold on Gane. And what I mean by that, stand-up wise, he has a legit Muay Thai background. I was leaning towards JDS until you talked me out of it, so now I'm going Gane. After thinking about it, when you add in the Muay Thai background, the legit Muay Thai background, I forgot that Junior just got finished by knees against Curtis Blades, I think. Was it Curtis Blades?
No, he got finished by Rosenstruck.
No. I think Curtis Blades actually hit him with the clinch and finished him with the knees. I'm almost positive.
No. He got finished. He got finishes all 3 of his last fights. Last 2 were by punches.
Curtis Blades. Blades.
But that was a punch, and that was 2 fights ago.
Knees and punches.
Okay. Punches, I was on UFCstats.com, so it said punches, but so I could.
No, knees and punches. I was watching it earlier.
Okay.
And he actually got finished in the clinch. So I think you look at that. Gane coming in from a Muay Thai background, he's like, what am I gonna do? He's gonna come in and clinch him. And see, the only thing I'm worried about is Gane's defense off that right hand. That Junior right hand, I think, could put anyone down. But when he flipped the coin, I'm flipping sides. I'm going with Gane on this one.
I like it. Yeah, I'm definitely all over Cyril Gane. I think this is the right step up in competition. This is the fight to get his name, out there in the heavyweight division. This is what's gonna jumpstart his career into the top of the heap in the division as well. The dude is electric on the feet. He's outstriking his opponents by 3.03 to 1 striking ratios, which is absolutely absurd. He's outlanding his opponents by, 40. I'm trying to do the math in my head, by like 22%. He's outstriking his opponents, which is absurd. He outstruck Tanner Boser with ease. I mean, Tanner Boser is very, very hard to land on. You're talking about Tanner Boser that doubled up Arlovsky in his last fight. The Tanner Boser that knocked out his 2 opponents previous to that as well. And he outstruck him soundly. His opponents are only landing 27% of their strikes. So it's pretty much Junior Dos Santos has to knock him out to win, period. So, if you want to play it safe, I would bet Cyril Gane and just hedge JDS by knockout, which is like plus 680. But to be honest, I don't think Cyril Gane's gonna get knocked out. I mean, he's such well-rounded. You're talking about a guy that's got like such knockout power, but he's able to go to a decision in a kickboxing match. He's able to take you down and sub you. He got a heel hook submission. He's got an arm triangle submission, and this is a heavyweight that really can beat you anywhere. So I think the sky's the limit for this dude. He's actually much bigger than JDS, which is the scary part because he's actually huge. Mm-hmm. Like they both weighed in at around 245, but he looks much bigger than JDS, which is the crazy part. Yeah, like I said, sky's the limit for him. I'm excited to see what he's made of, especially in a. I don't even know if you want to call it a step up in competition from Boser, because I think Boser would beat JDS as well. To be honest with you, I really do. Okay. I think Boser could outstrike JDS if they were to fight. But this is a way for the UFC to be like, okay, we can wipe our hands clean of JDS after this L, and we don't have to feel so bad letting him go after being such a dominant force in the UFC for such a long time, because this would be his fourth loss in a row. And I feel like this is what they're trying to do. This is like, since they're trying to get rid of the dead weight of the roster, this is the way to go. Like I said with Peter Barrett, they're trying to give Chase Hooper a win here. They're trying to get Cyril Gane a win here as well, and a win to jumpstart him into the top 10 of the division.
Yeah.
All right. Next up in the middleweight division, we have a fight between Kevin Holland and Jacare Souza. Right now, we have Souza as a minus 112 favorite in the comeback on. Holland is a plus 102 underdog. Who do you got?
Oof, this is another one of those hard ones where it's just really well matched. You got Kevin Holland on a nice little streak. Especially with the fact once you add in Jaquan Buckley going viral and, having the success that he had. And Kevin Holland made that look easy, honestly. And his last win with that, but those on short notice, that verbal tap. He had a split win against Darren Stewart. So, the one thing I will say about this matchup is I think we might be looking at a nice little Souza upset. If you can even list it as really an upset. I will say
he was an underdog earlier in the week, and then the money's been pouring in on him as of late.
Mm-hmm. So I think depending on who we get, if we do resume, other than Kevin Holland's trash talking, and we really go side by side resume, Souza has the better resume. I mean, this is probably his easiest fight in the last 2-3 years. He's only fought the top of the top, which includes Jan, who's now the champ, and that went to split decision. He fought the Joker, Jack, but unfortunately that became a jiu-jitsu battle, and Jack showed his jiu-jitsu's legit.
Yeah.
He has wins against Chris Weidman. He's fought Gastelum and Whitaker. He's only really losing to the top of the top. So this is a big step up for Kevin Holland. And, the one thing about Kevin Holland that does scare a lot of, if I was to bet on Kevin Holland, is he goes in cruise control a lot, and he loses these close. I don't want to say he loses, but before the Joaquin Buckley, before he put him away with that right hand, it was very close. It was. Yeah. And so when I look at that, and I'm like, if we get a focused Souza, who this is his easiest fight in the last 3-4 years, compared to the guys he was fighting, I'm leaning towards Souza on it.
The only thing that worries about me with Souza is he's 41 years old. He's got a lot of wear and tear on him. And I don't know how much he has left in the tank. So if he goes such a grapple heavy early on and he doesn't get a finish, how is he going to do the later round 2 and round 3 in this fight? We really don't know. Will his takedown still be there in the later portion of round 2 and at all of round 3? I don't know. We don't know. And then we've seen Kevin Holland. He's been taken down by guys that should never take him down. Like a Darren Stewart. He took him down 3 times. Terrible. Everybody else, Jeremy Mearshart took him down. I mean, he doesn't have the greatest takedown defense.
You got
But
finished, I think, by Brandon Allen, didn't you?
exactly, yeah, and he was winning that first round. He was winning that first round, but then he kind of gassed after that from just straight up wrestling, and he got finished. So that's where the problem lies with Holland. That we don't know if his takedown defense has really improved since then. Yes, he's on this 4-fight win streak, I believe. And this is the right step of competition, I believe. And I don't. This is a much easier step up for him than where he was going to fight Jack Hermanson. I think Jack Hermanson was going to absolutely obliterate him on the mat and easily beat him. This is a little bit easier. I know he's still going to have to defend takedowns. He's going to have to defend submissions. But this is a guy that's 41 years old. He's at the tail end of his career. And I feel like this is still another fight where they're trying to give Kevin Holland the step up in competition against an aging veteran, kind of like Cyril Gane, to kind of push him towards a good trajectory in his career and a force in the middleweight division. And if he gets the win here, I think Sousa's going to be one of those dudes that's going to be cut next, kind of like Junior Dos Santos. But I don't know, man. I'm on the fence here because it could go it could go either way. I really don't know where Holland's going to be. Is he going to be able to defend takedowns and outstrike him at distance because he's much bigger and much longer and is the way better striker? But the problem lies where he can't defend takedowns. So if I had to put money on it, being that Kevin Holland's a dog here, I'd probably take him at dog price, but it's definitely not a fight I really want to bet on. I'm kind of just want to watch it, let it happen, and see if Kevin Holland's the real deal at 185 pounds. All right, next up in the strawweight division, we have a fight between Mackenzie Dern and Virna Jandiroba. Right now, Dern is a minus 167 favorite, and the comeback on Jandiroba is a plus 157 underdog. Who do you got?
Oof, we got two legit jiu-jitsu people scrapping, so that means we're going to get a ugly stand-up battle.
Maybe.
Am leaning towards, when you look at the credentials, it's hard to really go against Mackenzie Dern against any of those jiu-jitsu girls in her division, as well as I think it's just going to be a good competitive fight. It's not really like, when we had Mackenzie against Randa Marcos, we're like, all right, she's going to submit her easily. Shanna Cyphers, you're like, oh, she's going to submit her easily. Reba was like, all right, we found out Amanda Ribas was legit at that time for the most part. That was kind of like the intro to, okay, this girl's pretty good. So now you got Mackenzie Dern against another decent black belt. I don't want to say decent, but a black belt who's known for submitting these girls. So it's just a matter of who are you going to lean towards. She did lose to Carla Esparza. She got taken down, controlled. I don't think Mackenzie Dern. Actually, I know Mackenzie Dern isn't really takedown heavy. She's not really a top type of girl. But with this, if I have to toss a coin and go off straight accolades, I'm going Mackenzie Dern.
This is our second disagreement. I'm actually taking Jandiroba here. I think we're getting a good price on her. I got her plus 160. I think they're overpricing her because of her last two wins against extremely low level of competition. Virna Jandiroba was a former Invicta FC strawweight champion. Her only loss was a short notice debut against Carla Esparza in a fight that was extremely close, I believe. You're talking about Jandiroba that took her down 2 times. She actually had almost 5 minutes of control time against Esparza as well, which is the 4th most in Carla Esparza's UFC career. So she definitely has the much better wrestling between the two. I don't see Dern getting the sub here, mainly because I think Jandiroba is a high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner as well. She's never been subbed in her 17-fight career. She's 16-1. She's fought the much better competition than Dern. I mean, that's just point blank. And I know Dern maybe has a striking advantage here. She does have the power advantage on the feet, But how much are we really going to see of her really striking at range? I don't think we're going to see much. I think Jandiroba is going to be able to take her down at will, which she'll be able to because Dern doesn't defend takedowns. She's very willing to fight off her back. She's not one to really get a ton of control time on top. She's not one to really go for sweeps. She's one to try to fight off her back, get subs off her back. And I think we've only seen her get a sweep once, and that was in her UFC debut. Other than that, she was just trying to get subs off her back, which she did against Marcos. She did against Hannah Cyphers. But then you got Amanda Ribas came in. I know Amanda Ribas has shown that she is a true, legit strawweight contender. But you're this high level, super high level BJJ black belt, and you have this unknown commodity and Amanda Ribas, who's not even remotely on your level. You let her take you down twice, and you did nothing with it. You want her to take you down so that you can get in position to sub her. She controlled you for, I think, a little over 2 minutes, and then she absolutely pieced you up on the feet. She took you down, and she gave you the chance to really submit her. She did absolutely nothing with it. And then there's other times where she wasn't able to get submissions against lower level competition on the regional scene. And I feel like the same is going to happen here. I think Jandiroba scores control time on top, defends the armbar attempts, defends the triangle attempts, and just dominates her in control positions and over the course of 15 minutes. I could be wrong here. But you know, people were taking Mackenzie Dern as a -200 favorite, which is absurd to me.
Crazy.
Crazy. So I'm thinking we're getting value here in Jandiroba in a fight that's going to be, I think, extremely close between two very, very high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. I'm just taking a chance on the dog here, and I'm taking her at +160. All right. Next up, in the co-main event, this is one of my favorite fights. I said this earlier, but I mean, this is probably the fight on the card here in the co-main event between Tony Ferguson and Charles Oliveira. Right now, Tony El Kakui Ferguson is a -162 favorite, and the comeback on Charles Oliveira is a +152 underdog. Who do you got?
Oof, it's tough because you have Charles Oliveira who's streaking. I think he has the body frame to present problems to Tony Ferguson. Being 5'10", just long in stature, very crisp. Like when I say crisp striking from his Muay Thai to his overall game. And he's just, he looks like he's finally hitting that stride that he was expected to hit at early on in his career. But Ferguson, I think a lot of people are weighing a little extra juice on him losing to Gaethje. I think we all kind of knew Gaethje had the style to beat him, and he just got exposed. And I think people forget they're laying too much on that loss. So I'm leaning towards Ferguson. It's hard to really go with a guy who's known to quit in his biggest battles. When you look at his resume, the fights that he had, I don't want to say they're not impressive, but this streak that we're looking at and that we're laying so much juice on for Oliveira, you get a Lentz where the way I like to weigh it is anything that he has on his streak, we're saying Tony Ferguson wouldn't do that as well. Right. The same thing to Lentz, the same thing to David Gordon.
Tamer, who dropped him, Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, so when you look at that, not getting hyped up in this streak, you got a guy who's known to break these high-level fights, such as what was it, Cub, which was like a delayed drop that he had. Yeah. He lost, I think, to Cowboy. All of his big fights, other than I will say Kevin Lee.
That's the only one.
Other than Kevin Lee, he's dropped. He lost to Paul Felder, Ricardo Ramos, Anthony Pettis. Mind you, these are older fights. He does look like he's gotten better, but you take a hungry Ferguson who's coming off that loss from Gaethje, and this is his first fight back. I think I'm leaning towards Ferguson on this, and I think this is probably the best line we'll get on Ferguson for a while. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Ferguson, make it an ugly, grueling fight, cuts him open, and yeah.
Yes. Yes. Finally, someone who sees the light. Everybody that I know is all over Charles Oliveira. Like, he's just going to come out there and wipe Tony off the map. Like, Tony wasn't the best at 155 pounds next to Khabib for years. For years. You're talking about a guy that he has one loss in the last half of a decade. That's 6 years, guys. He's 12-1 in the last 6 years against highly lightweight contenders. Okay. Charles Oliveira's best win, his only win against a ranked opponent, is Kevin Lee. That's it. And you're talking about a guy that's been finished numerous times. You talk about this BJJ wizard black belt that's even been tapped out by Ricardo Lamas. He's been tapped out by Anthony Pettis. You're talking about a guy that's been finished by Paul Felder. Tony is a nightmare matchup for Charles Oliveira on the feet. Tony's never been submitted in his UFC career. The only time he's been finished was in a almost 25-minute war with Justin Gaethje. You're talking about Justin Gaethje, who would finish Charles Oliveira within inside 2 rounds.
Yes,
within 2 rounds. Maybe,
unless now that we know Justin Gaethje doesn't have any submission defense, unless Oliveira goes out.
Yeah, but the thing is, Charles Oliveira wouldn't even be able to take Justin Gaethje down. That's the thing.
No, I agree.
What I mean? We're talking
Flying
about
triangle.
Yeah, I know. You're talking about Khabib that was able to take him down and sub him. But the thing is, no one's able to take down Justin Gaethje other than Khabib because of how good of his takedown defense is. And we're also forgetting how good Tony's takedown defense is. I think it's about 76%. He's also was a D1 All-American wrestler in college. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt under Eddie Bravo. So the dude is legit everywhere. He's got the volume advantage. Mind you, this is the first fight where Charles Oliveira is not the taller and not the lengthier a fighter either. He doesn't have the reach advantage. He doesn't have the height advantage here. So he's facing a guy that's just as big as him for the first time in years, and a guy that has the striking advantage. He could cut you open which way. He's never faced a striker that's more diverse than Tony Ferguson. I mean, he can beat you with any limb of his body. He's got knees, he's got elbows, he's got kicks, he's got punches. He throws the most unorthodox shit that you'll never, ever see coming. And it's very, very hard for Oliveira to be able to, to game plan for something like that. And like you were saying, the dude is a quitter. He's a known quitter, and he doesn't like pressure. You press forward against him, he's gonna break. And like I said, David Tamer dropped this man, okay? He had to go through adversity. He got dropped by David Tamer. That's never good. David Tamer that's been finished in his time multiple times. He's not even on the same level as Tony. I know he finished him later on, but come on, guys. David Tamer here dropping Oliveira. I mean, he's finished numerous times. I got Tony all day here. I'm super excited to see him back in there. I know I'm super high on him. I just don't write him off yet. I know everybody wants to see Charles Oliveira get in there because he's young, he's hungry, and he's on this 8-fight win streak. But forget this man, Tony Ferguson, was on a 12-fight win streak, and he was this close to fighting Khabib. If the whole pandemic shit didn't happen, he was fighting Khabib for the title. He wasn't even going to fight Justin Gaethje. And I knew personally that Justin Gaethje was a terrible matchup for him because Gaethje can take punishments. The dude it's impenetrable when it comes to striking. He's almost impossible to take out of there, which is why I was all over Gaethje in that spot. And mind you, if the ref didn't stop that, he didn't get finished by getting knocked down. He got finished because the ref stopped it from happening. He would have been the first person to take Justin Gaethje to a decision. He would have been the first person to take Gaethje to a decision. And I think that's something to write home about. And I don't see Oliveira coming in there and starching him. I don't see him getting a submission. So he's got to go in there. I don't know how he's going to win. Give me Tony Ferguson here. I'm still getting a respectable line. I think he should be over minus 200. So minus 162, it's a steal. All right, and then we're finally up to our main event on the card. I think this is going to be a great fight between the champion Davison Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno for the flyweight championship. This is the fastest turnaround of any champion in UFC history in just 21 days. This is going to be a good one. Right now, Davison Figueiredo is on minus 305 favorite. And to come back on Brandon Moreno, it's a plus 275 underdog. Who do you got?
Oh man, I think it is extremely hard to really pick this one because when you look at Moreno, I think Moreno has all the skills to make this a tough fight. Moreno's a scrappy guy. He has high level jiu-jitsu, high level wrestling, and he's gonna be in there. He's gonna stay in there, and he's coming to fight. When you have Figueroa on a roll that he has been on, it's really hard to bet against him. Honestly,
I
I mean, like I thought that the Joey B fight was going to be close, and he starched him both times. I thought Alex Perez. Yeah, I thought. I mean, I did not bet on Alex Perez, but I did think that the fight would be a little closer, and he starched. And it's not even like when we say starch, it's not even like the fights were close. He's walking through these guys, and to put it at it, Alex Perez isn't bad. You got Joey B still isn't bad. He's walking through them. So I'm leaning with Figgy all the way on this fight. As much as I like Brandon Moreno, I just don't think this is a good turnaround fight. He's coming right off the Brandon Roval fight, and I thought that fight was going to be a little bit harder. Other than Roval getting injured, I think we did see that that fight was going to be pretty close.
It was. It was.
That was a pretty rough first round. I had Moreno on that fight, but I know I was kind of clinching a little bit until the injury happened. I was like, thank God. But, two of those spins, I think Roval hit him with a few of them shots, and Roval landing that and Figgy landing his shots are two different things, So I'm going with Figueroa on this one.
Yeah, I've gone against Figgy in his last 3 fights. There's no fucking way I'm going against him again here. I'm not doing it. It's not happening. I'm a huge fan of Brandon Moreno. I have been since the Ultimate Fighter. I think he's going to surprise us a little bit here, but ultimately, I think he's losing this fight. Figueiredo gives absolutely no respect to his opponents, at all. Hands down, coming forward, he's like, punch me in the face. I don't care kind of fighter. Switching stances. He's always moving in and out, keeping his head moving on a swivel, making you miss, and then the missile right hand. He can put out anybody with that right hand. I don't care who it is. Moreno gets hit a ton. But he's a warrior. He's one of those tough-ass Mexican fighters. And I really like him, but man, Figueiredo, he has it. And I don't think anyone right now at 125 pounds can beat him. And I do think they really want that Cody Garbrandt fight to come through, I think in March. So they're really hoping that Figueiredo gets this win here and he gets to fight Cody Garbrandt, where I think he's going to finish Cody Garbrandt as well. But it's really, really hard to go against Figueiredo here. He's got it. He's got the it factor. He's got the power. He's got the jiu-jitsu. Granted, his wrestling isn't the greatest, but as we've seen, he's overcome the wrestling to beat all of his opponents. He's the real deal. The dude is legit. And he's just massive for the division too. I mean, and mind you, 21 days is not enough time for Moreno to game plan for this fight. You know what I mean? Figueiredo comes in with the same game plan every single time. He doesn't really care who he's fighting against. He's putting his hands down. He's coming forward. He's walking through what you got, and he's gonna put the pace. He's gonna put the pressure, and he's going to lay the fucking leather on you. So, and I think he's going to do the same thing here. I don't think Moreno has the power to put him down, and I don't think he has the jiu-jitsu skills to get him out of there. So he's going to have to really wrestle him for the entirety of 25 minutes if he thinks he's going to win this fight. And they pretty much just hold him there and pray for the best, because I think he's going to put him away, I think, within probably 2 rounds. It is what it is. I like Moreno. I hope he gets in there quick after this and, gets another win. But Figgy's on another level. This dude is for real. Maybe that fight against Manel Cape is going to be a interesting one down the line, because he weighed in as the alternate just in case something happened here. So that might be a fight that could happen on the horizon after the Cody Garbrandt fight. But Figgy's going to be one of those dominant flyweight champions. I don't see someone really beating him. I mean, yeah, I just don't see it. I don't know who has it to beat him. I don't know who has it. I don't see it. At least anyone on the roster right now. Maybe if Cejudo came back, but to be honest, if Cejudo came back, would you take Figgy? Because I would.
Nah, I'm going Cejudo for sure.
Even though he hasn't cut weight to 125 pounds in quite some time?
Yep, I'm going Cejudo.
For real.
I just think, Cejudo, as much as you get past the cringe-worthy, Cejudo is just way too well-rounded. I think I was heavy on him against Dillashaw, Demetrius Johnson. And this is from when he first came in. His stand-up is good. Chris has good Muay Thai for a wrestler. And, when you think about that, for a wrestler, we're saying, and we're not just saying any wrestler, we're saying the highest level Olympic champion wrestler, know? So I think he puts it all together really well. And I think his style gives Figgy problems, because he's going to take down Figueroa, and he's not going to sit in that pocket. He's going to kick him. He's going to keep his distance, and he's going to set up his shots and be able to dictate. When Figgy's throwing those big bombs, he's going to shoot. He's going to lower his level, take him down, gas him out, and maybe even finish him. But yeah, I'm all over Cejudo. I think Cejudo and Demetrius Johnson are the only two that can beat him right now, just because they have that. They just have the total package of mixing up everything, and they're going to be able to take him down and deal with his pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Cejudo would come back. I know people don't like his shtick, but he only does it, for the entertainment purposes, and I get it, but he's such a good fucking fighter. It's crazy. He's such a good fighter. And people don't give enough credit for that because of what he does on social media. But yeah, that's it. That's our breakdown for tonight, guys. That's our breakdown for tonight. The fights start in 3 hours, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the dot. Before we head out, who would you give out as your best bet on this card?
Best bet, I think we're getting a great line on Tony. Going Tony Ferguson. You can straight bet that. As well as, let me just go back. I like a nice little parlay. If you add Tisha Torres, Billy Q, and just throwing Tony on that one. I think that's a decent parlay.
Plus 195. I bet.
There you go. And if you're feeling a little gambling type, I would go Souza and Cub as well.
Souza and Cub. Plus 1,269.
There we go.
That's not bad. Not bad at all, everybody. All right. I gotta shout out our sponsor, Manscaped, guys. As you've seen, promo code TFTA20 for 20% off your order, plus free shipping on the best male grooming products on the market. Go get that stuff right now. And guys, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Fight Analyst, and Fight Bananas for more great content, whether it's gambling, whether it's interviews. I will be live at Intercontinental Miami on Thursday night for Titan FC 66, which is headlined by some great fighters there. don't miss out. Go ahead and subscribe for more content. And my man, where can everyone find you?
All right, you guys can find me at Why So Serious MMA, both on Twitter and Instagram. For my plays, you guys can subscribe to my OnlyFans, Why So Serious Consultant. Last week we held off, and I only played one play, which hit, which was Levitt parlayed with the little boxing and Errol Spence, since people were writing them off since that car accident. They both cruised to a W, and we
Easy.
made guaranteed money. So today, my card's going to be out. I'm going to have it up in about 30 minutes. It's a small subscription fee of $25.
That's it,
If
guys.
you had subscribed last month, you would have already made triple that with our underdogs that were played. I'm just saying right now. And we got a massive card coming up next week as well. So,
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Go ahead and subscribe to this man's OnlyFans. And you guys know you can subscribe to both of us. You can get on the fightanalyst.com and get my place as well. We're all going to make money together, guys. We're making money together. And guys, you know where to find me on Twitter at Fight Analyst and The Fight Analyst on Instagram and Facebook. With that said, we will catch you guys cashing out at the ticket window. Until next time, you guys have a great night of fight.